Hey, welcome back. All right, today, hopefully most of you uh, can ignore the email I just sent. Some of you can't. You have a little bit of leeway, but we're moving on. I'm moving on. You do it or you don't. Time to move on. It's been 4 weeks. Out with the old and with the new. We're done with one project. We're going to move forward with another project. We can't just keep going backwards and delaying. So we're going to move on forward. So we're going to talk today about the new project, uh, the new street festival that you're going to design for frozen custard. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some typesetting. And the great part is everybody's doing really good on the design experiments and everybody needs to know projects. So we don't really need to hit off on those that much. But let's get started. Let's start with typography. And it's something. I almost mentioned some of this last week, and you're like, oh, I know people are like, oh, why? And this came up. I believe it's in the readings. All caps. Oh, this is bold. This is supposed to be, bold in all caps. This is mistitled. Well, let me get the other one as well. Sorry. So first thing, bold. And a lot of us are doing this for all of our small assignments. And I want you to really think about your design and why you're doing it, sort of. Like, why are you doing bold for all the text? Like, it's like one sentence. Does it all need to be bold? So I want you to start thinking about that. Downloading. 1 second. Oh, somebody deleted my file. Let's do the whole thing. So, yeah, so using bold for everything is exactly like using all caps for everything. It's not needed. Bold is used for maybe a title, emphasize a word. Here, the titles are in bold. That's it. You know, like this reads correctly. This is, again, why are you yelling at me? Why is it so urgent? You know, it doesn't need to be that. It's done. You have to do it for design reasons. You have to think about it. And I think what happens with us is we jump into our design and we get nervous about spacing or filling the space. Like, oh, I got to fill the space. But it's not about filling the space. And then when you don't have a lot of text, we go into like, oh, well, maybe if it's all caps, it'll fill out the area. We don't need to do that anymore. Stop doing it. So as this is titled wrong, this is do not use bold for everything. And then this one, don't use all caps. Stop using all caps. If the font that you picked is all caps, find a different font. It's like a rarity. And I'm going to start questioning everybody. So all caps, explain to me why your rationale as to why the design body copy needs to be set in all caps. Explain to me why you think everything needs to be in bold, because you should be able to explain that. You know, I am your client, and if you do that, you may have to answer like, oh, so why is it all, again, why are you yelling at me? Why is it all in caps? Today, as you know, when you type to your friends and your text messages, all caps is yelling. Like you're yelling at somebody. Don't yell. It doesn't need that to be filled. And it's the easy one that you just need to stop doing. So no longer should you bold body copy. It should be thought of as like it only be used only when needed. Only when needed. And same with all caps. Only when needed. Oh, I use it right here. I used it right there. It's one word. I use it do not. I'm using it because it's important. And then here, all caps, because that's what it is. I'm using it as title treatment only. Nowhere else. Even here, it's just bold. So those two, let's not do that anymore. All right? Think about it. Why am I doing it? Every design decision should be thought about as to why are you doing it or not doing it? How is it affecting my design? Is it needed? Is it, like the text can look so good. Like if you're nervous about filling it, start reading books on white space and design and just start making things smaller and breathable and open. So third one, centered text. This is another one, and people just do it. Oh, I'll put it right down the middle. Don't stop doing that. It's amateur hour. Centered, everything centered is amateur. We get nervous as designers, and we think, oh, you know what I'm gonna look in the center of the page, and I'll read down. But what you're typesetting is not like a poem. It's not like a sonnet where you read down the middle, like, and it's all set on one page. Like, no, like we read from left to right. There has to be a rationale why you would center the text. This is just fine. Left align, right align. There's no reason to do that. And it's awkward to read because here we read every day. Everything you read is left to right. We know the jagged edge, and we come back to a nice line on this side of what we're reading. Here, then that starting line is in, out, sort of in, out, really in, and like you're jumping all around. It doesn't make the text easier to read. It actually makes it harder to read. So when you center your text, because you think, oh, it's just one thing in the middle of my page and I'll center the text, it actually does make that harder to read. And it looks goofy when you have stuff like this happening, like these endings. Like, what is that? Like, that looks horrific. Here, you don't even notice it. Couple words at the last line. Here's like, it stands out of like, what's going on? So it's another one that I'm going to start questioning everybody on. So center text, what's your design rationale behind center text? Could you show me it without center text? I want to see it, right align, left align. I feel like I should show that too now that we're into it. I hope I have nothing open. File, new. I use these words and I assume everybody knows what I'm talking about, and because you've taken typography, but sometimes I feel like when I say it, I hear people come back and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Type paragraph. And it says it. This first one, align left. I say left align. That means everything is aligned on the left side. Left align. I use the direction first. They're interchangeable. This is center align. Never do this again. We're not going to do center align ever unless it's a title and it's the title on the page and you do want it centered, but we're not going to run the body copy all down the middle unless it's a poem for your friend. This is right align or align right. And that means the flat edge is on the right side. Totally doable. You may have a book and the way you want it set is the way the text reads. Now, this is justify with the last line left align. So I use the same terminology here, but you hear me, I'll use force justify. I don't need to use the word force. Well, this is actually force. Justify all the lines. Force justify is jamming in all the words into a square box. So that's that. It makes it from edge to edge. It's called force justify. This lower one, if I delete a couple of these words, this is what they're talking about at the end. All the lines will be perfectly square. We'll never use center justify. We don't need to do that. We won't ever do that again unless the client asks or you have, I asked you to typeset a poem. And then this is the right one. And all it's doing is moving that over. So, and then this is like super forced. Don't always love this because it does this weird thing with the very last line. But when you hear me, left line, I will always now ask you what's your justification for center. This is right. And then these get into justified. So that's what I'm talking about. If you ever hear me say it and you're like, what does he mean? Right a line, left a line. What is he talking about? That's what I'm talking about. Left a line. And that's how we talk about it in typography. So let's, from here on out, all caps or bold, no more, only bold for certain areas to delineate a hierarchy emphasis. Just this is too hard to read. Type is set thousands of years, hundreds of years. I don't know, thousands have been taught. We find this easier to read than this. There are studies. So, okay. All caps, only when it's important. Driving down the road, got to read that street sign, all caps, because there's nothing else around it. That works out great. When I'm trying to read this, too hard to read. Even if the font is set, it is like, oh, it's such and such, all caps. Find a different font. Just it's too much. Or you'll have to justify why. Not text justify, but you'll have to tell me why. And then no more center. No more just like, oh, I'm just going to put it right in the center. Experiment. Try it on the left. Try it on the right. You'll see the designs will look so much more sophisticated if you don't do this. And then the other one that I always like to say is, okay, if you're like, oh, but I don't know why. I want you to find examples in the real world of professional designs where bold is used for the entire ad or whatever. All caps is used. Show me one where all caps is used at a professional published design and where centering's used. And show me those examples, more than one, and I'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but you don't see it done. So let's not do it. Let's not do it. Cool. No more. You'll hear me. I'm going to start mentioning these things like widows and all that stuff, like minus 300 points for having a widow and a hyphen and all that jazz. So, all right. The big assignment. Let's do it. There's going to be a new street festival. Frozen custard. First thing, if you're like, I don't know what frozen custard is, please look up what frozen custard is. It is not ice cream. It is not yogurt, frozen yogurt. Frozen custard is its own product. Has nothing to do with the other two, which then in your mind should take out all the stereotypical items that you just thought of. Oh, and I'll get to it. Oh yeah, I got an idea already. Oh, but is it conducive or does it match what frozen custard is? Hold on a second. I got to go shut my door because somebody's kind of yelling outside the door. Thank you all. All right, so you got to find out what frozen custard is. Second one is a street festival. Standard street festival. It's not out of a building. It is like on the streets. There's going to be a tent and, like T-shirts, tents, directional signage, like all that fun stuff to help, it's promote. It's like what it is. Somebody was like, hey, let's do a street festival and we want to like be all about frozen custard. We're going to get local frozen custard vendors there and you can try out different stuff and, try different flavors, all this fun stuff is going to happen. And you need to design it. There's nothing. We're starting free. So, like read through all this great stuff I have here on it. When is it? It's going to take place on a single Sunday in August. You pick the Sunday. All right. It's up to you. You pick one, and it's got to go on that date. I want you to, again, present your stuff in a presentation deck. And this can morph over time if you want to, but clean and clear is the best to go if you don't want to, introduce anything too soon per your design. But all your stuff will go in the deck. It's just the way you present to clients. Here it is. Here's the deck. Here's the stuff. All right. Logo design. Choose a single name from the following 5 names. You must also include the words Frozen Custard Festival. So it's Chillville, Big Brain Freeze, Sunday Streets, Scoop MKE, or Alpine Peaks, and then Frozen Custard Festival. Do not forget that is part of the logo. That's what people are doing. If you just have Chillville, they won't know what it is unless you place Frozen Custard Festival on it. So that's the importance. Again, 1, choose a single name from the following 5 names. You don't do all 5. You only do 1. You do your favorite. Do some research, look around. Fine. You'll be doing eventually a poster and a flyer, a tent with a draft backdrop and half walls, directional sandwich boards, a die-cut sticker, and a t-shirt. I think I may switch this. I may switch this to I'll provide the die line. I will think about that. Body copy. Here's the body copy. And the body copy is generally for the poster and the flyer. You won't be putting, think about it. You won't be putting body copy on the tent. You won't be putting body copy on directional signage. And there'll be like the directional sign is like a this way with an arrow, a vendors and a bathrooms with an arrow. So it's not like these are descriptions. And then your die cut sticker, that's not going to have like that body copy on it. So body copy goes on stuff that people will actually read, which is the poster and the flyer. Flyer's double-sided too this time. So yeah, that's new. So make sure you're reading everything. Flyer, double-sided. Got all that same information. So read through all of this. I want research and 3 visual concepts, parentheses, logo lockups, that you want to go forward with for this project. So first one, if you don't know what frozen custard is, got to look it up, see what it is, check some stuff out, do research, look around. If you've been the cops, great. You've been the one place. There's more than just one. You know what I mean? Like you have to see what's out there, how many companies there are, what are their logos looking. This is a street festival that all encompasses all of them together. So you don't want it to look too much like one or too much like the other. You want to create your own set of like design values for this festival, street festival. So look it up, custard shops, type it in. Who's got stuff? Like, what are they pushing? I'll talk about this irritant of mine right here. Who do we know? But, look around, check out like some weird old ones. Like you want it looking new and hip or old and, classic, like what do you want to push? How do you want to push it? There's that balance of like, if you always make it like look old and retro, what about new people? Like what about the younger kids? They'll be like, oh, that's old and dumb. But if you make it like look super modern and cool, the young kids may be more into it. So look around, dig around. There's some other stuff, look up logos, frozen custard logos, see the styles. There's something that I will say that I don't like, I don't think it will work, is, and it's this design right here. This swirl top, that comes out of a soft serve machine, for my knowledge, I don't know any custard place that I've ever been to that dispenses their custard out of that machine. It's always scooped. If you know of one and you're like, oh yeah, go here, and they dispense it out of a soft serve machine, all right, great, you got me beat. But like 90% of the time, it comes out of one machine and into a tub, and then it's hand scooped. So showing this is showing the wrong product. So that's one of those things when you do your research on something, especially if you're working, depending on no matter who your client is, making sure you do your research. So when you show them something, it's not the wrong thing that you assumed was the right thing. Like, oh no, all ice cream looks like it's coming out of the soft serve machine. And then we're like, some people are like, absolutely not. Like, that's not it. That's froyo and McDonald's fake stuff. You know, it's not real custard. Real custard is scoop. So you got to kind of think about everything. Think about stereotypes. Think about, oh, there it is. Man, get Sugar Creek. There you go. Soft serve. Oh, so, but theirs is soft serve frozen custard. I wonder if it's really custard. Well, I'm not going to dig further, but all right, they won. The study of yogurt shops and see, now they're saying they're yogurt products. Soft frozen. Oh, they have a ton of different things. So, okay, so they're soft serving everything. So they're outlier on this trail of ideas. So do some research, look around, or come up with your first 3 ideas and then throw them out, and then kind of work on 3 new ones that aren't so right off the top of your head. Dig around, play around, have some fun. I'll show you what I've done in the past. These are in no particular order. And I have to like turn on layers. So I did a bunch of them, and this is just me scribbling. This is how I start out. I don't go to the computer. I scribble. I like start thinking of ideas, and I start looking at things and start like writing if I write the letters, I start seeing stuff like, oh, here, scoop, look, C, O, O, P, look, oh, okay, I got 3 joining letters, like, oh, that's pretty rad. And I just kind of start really just messing around. Like here, I think I did the tall, and I dropped the, the P through the E. And then here I was like, oh, what if you made them all solid? Minutes doing this, but just to get ideas out. I'm not on the computer. This would take me way longer, and I wouldn't have maybe necessarily seen this idea of the circles going together. Like here's a circle, here's a circle, circle, circle. And I use this later on. It's all circles. I wouldn't have gotten that if I would have typed out scoop with a font. It wouldn't have happened. I know it. What I do? Oh, this is for Chillville. I think I had seen something, and I go further with it. I'll show you next week. I go further with this Chillville design. And I believe it was a bunch of you students last semester were all like showing me like 80s retro design, and it was like Miami Vice based. And then so I started with this like super like it goes into it, but here I just wrote Chillville like that. I wrote again, and I was thinking like, what if I just do really weird letters? Oh, then I pushed it. So I started here, and then I was like, as you see how much scribbly that is, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna turn up the brush size. And again, this is just drawing to like just really fat. So all I had to do is like 1 stroke, and I'm just playing and getting together. And then I was like, oh, like here's too chill, like how's it coming together? And then here, looking at it more, just big, bold lines. Again, these are taking me minutes, not even minutes. Like, it's just like, this is just like you know, solid shapes for the letters. How is that looking? No color yet. Then I started working on one for the all pint. And as you see, like each time I do it, I'm changing styles, I'm changing ideas, changing looks. And then so all pint, can't remember my rationale. Oh, there's a reason why there's quotes here. I'll show you that in a little bit. It's kind of a joke. And then I just refined it. So I did this one, scratchy, and then I just simply slowed down and I traced it. That's all I did. Traced what I had. I do a lot of tracing. Like there was a bad tracing. Like I was like, oh, start over. And then I did it better. You can see that difference. Or maybe I did it in reverse. I can't remember. Like there was a rationale. I think the loop in the A may have been too big the first time. I didn't like it. Just playing around with letters. That's all I'm doing. I'm playing with the letters. Am I going to use an image in my logo? I don't know yet. But right now I'm playing with the letters. That's like my first go-to. Because everybody's going to, you know, ice cream scoop, whatever. That can be later. Like there's like an ice cream scoop, you know, whatever. There might be some repeat pages because there is a conflict. Oh, but you can see I still was drawing more here. I went back and started wisping some stuff up there. This, I started to think more about like the letters being shapes that we've seen, that we've seen, that we've seen, that we've seen. I should just get rid of one of these files then. Oh, and here, like more working with pint. And then, you know, pint. I think I was making sure that like when you write it, the N needs to, it's like if you're doing cursive, the N is like this really, but you know, like, but if that was like an I, the N is supposed to be a little bit different, but I don't want it to look like an M, you know, for little kids. So that's what I was like kind of working on with this is like, and I just write it because I'm like, well, this is what an M would look like kind of more. So playing around, just drawing stuff, just drawing. Oh, exposed too much already. Of course, there's the, you know, just more playing around. All right, so I have the scoop, you know, Chillville, and now the Frozen Cousin Festival. Of course, first thing we do is ice cream scoop. If you got to do it, draw it, get it out of your system. I used to like to do that too. That like the first thing you do is like the first thing you come up, you do it, then push it aside and say the next ones I can't do that. Don't do it again. Just playing with the scoop, MKE, just drawing an S here. I think, I don't know if I like the C and part of a bad drawing. Flipping letters. Oh, these are like, see that those are like the cherries on top. I didn't want to do that because that's too much towards just like ice cream sundae rather than maybe just a generic custard festival. Don't want to pinpoint people. More direction, you know, the scoop, like, you know, you scoop the ice cream with. I know this is the wrong shape, but it was coming from this idea of the COOP. Is there a way I can integrate like kind of a stylized scoop into the name for Scoop MKE? I was playing around and joking with a friend, and this is a pint of ice cream upside down. I buy pints. Don't worry, it gets better. There it is. You know, you got to get the idea out first. And when you're joking around, and I was like on a phone meeting with a friend, we do video phone meetings with, I have a designer friend, and like we were screwing around and I was talking to him about the project, and he was helping originally with some of the names, and we were joking around. Then I had more time. This is like week 2 coming up with Al. And this is Al of Allpint. I draw on different layers and I'm Al. And that's why in those previous ones, I had Al in parentheses because he's Al from Allpint. And Allpint is like alpine, like the slopes in the mountain. So that's my work through. This is the one that took me that was week 2. All these other ones were week 1. And it was a very short time. Anytime I just had a chance in between like classes or I'd be watching TV, I distinctly remember all these were done at night on this page watching TV. Like just in the back of my mind. Like I don't need to watch. I'm watching because I have a child and my child watches really dumb stuff. But I want to be in the room toward the end of the evening with my child. And so I'm just on my, I got the iPad or I'm scribbling on the Wacom or whatever, and that's all I'm doing. So that's some stuff to think about and some ways to move forward of, logo development. How should we do it? I am like a huge proponent of not jumping to the computer too soon. I think, like I said, within minutes, half an hour, I can have variations and differences in a ton of different things and have some fun and play around and not care, rather than me sitting there opening up Illustrator and I'm trying to find the perfect font right away. I think that's too hard. You end up wasting time. You end up doing the wrong kind of research first if you do that. Yeah, what other notes should we know about the Frozen Custard Festival? Yeah. Do you guys have any questions about it? Okay, well, I'll let you go with that then. Dig in it, have some fun. Dig in. Have some fun with it. It is all you again. And there's no other brands that need to be brought into this. This is like the dream. Everybody, I wish I could just design a logo. Here you go. This is your logo. You get to design it. I don't think we had problems. I don't think I had anybody pushing this for brand. I know we had some people when we get to the media one next week. I'll talk more about that. Every designer needs to know. You guys are doing pretty good with those. Though now, with every designer needs to know, everything I talked about today is now in play. I don't want all caps. I don't want all bold. I don't want all bold, all caps, all centered. Now start pushing your creative bounds in how to develop creative ideas that don't rely on crutches. And that's what those are. All bold, crutch. All centered, crutch. Oh, it just looks good. Yeah, but it's not elegant in any way. Yeah, so that is that. Yeah, any questions, comments, or concerns about moving forward? All right, awesome. I will see you on Thursday. Go over some more stuff. Hopefully I'll have some more drawings if I can get some time in with everything going on. And I'll show you some more stuff. And then I have more development work for you to show you next week. But there you go. Again, read that email for the some of you that it's important to. It's not for everybody. That's it. And then stay on top of things. So, all right, cool. I'll talk to you, if not on the discussion boards, on Thursday. All right, take it easy. Bye.